right, ladies and gentlemen, SCP-173, the Sculpture Tale. This is one of the most highly recommended SCPs that you wanted me to look into, and I know nothing about this one, aside from the fact that this might potentially possibly be one of the most dangerous SCPs ever. I don't know. I didn't get too deep into this one yet. Let's see what we're doing today.
We were a team, despite our differences. In spite of the terrible things they'd done, we were still a team.
Okay, all right. We're good. We're good.
That's not how the higher-ups saw it, though. No. The guys upstairs with their perfectly pressed shirts. For them, we were judged by our level of ability, and they knew that our next mission was a death sentence. One by one, that thing took out my team, my friends, snapping their necks so quickly and with such ease that no sooner did I hear the scream, they were dead. We had been
What? What a wild way to start. Yeah, dude, I'm told that this thing is insane. This thing hunted the reptile till it was one of the last ones alive. What? Dude, people were telling me this one's gonna give me trauma, but I don't know, bro. I never even heard of this one.
I'd been used. Delivered as prey to the predator. A plot that was sanctioned by the bosses and approved with a blood-red stamp. Why did they do it? I'm still trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Maybe that's something you can tell me after you hear how these so-called scientific men left us in this cell. And in the hands...
This is the most popular SCP. You had my attention, but now you have my erection.
...of SCP-173. For me, it had been the best of times before it became the worst of times. The best, because I'd quickly risen through the ranks of the facility. The worst, because, well, I'll get to that. I was never the best student. I finished high school by the skin of my teeth, and my job prospects looked bleak.
Bro, you can always mod for a female Twitch streamer. She might even humiliate you for free.
But I was lucky, I guess. Or at least I thought so at the time. You see, I have an uncle Siegfried who did some work for the government. I never actually knew what he did, just that it was secretive work. I used to imagine he was some sort of super spy, so you can imagine how excited I was when he found out I needed a job and he offered to help me out.
Ah, yes, because I'm also totally comfortable every time my uncle Sigma male William Johnson decides to give me a job as a top secret super sleuth. Yep, I just know I'll be safe.
I couldn't believe it. I always thought he hated me. I'd overheard him telling my parents that I was a no-good deadbeat. But now he'd had a change of heart and was willing to take me under his wing. What would I get to do?
What does any of this have to do with SCP-173?
Undercover intelligence gathering? International assassinations? Just you wait, he said. And that's how I found myself walking into a sprawling future.
Wait, is this actual lore? Do they want me to start feeling bad for this guy so that when he gets, inevitably murdered, I'll feel bad for him?
Futuristic looking facility where they handed me a level 1 security clearance card with big bold letters that read, janitor. But I was happy. Just the...
Yes, that's right. Better live a day as a janitor but afford your own food than live a day as a mod to female Twitch streamer.
The word security clearance made me feel important, and it beat flipping burgers. I pushed mops.
Yeah, that's like when the American government says that you have a right to vote.
Turned off lights.
When you feel all important, you get this little badge that says I voted, even though it doesn't make any difference. I'm sorry.
Fired up generators.
Streamers are supposed to tell people, remember to vote. It's important, guys, or something.
Clocked in and clocked out. But all that time, they must have been watching me, grooming me, waiting for the day they could throw me to the wolves. I should have known. I've always been an expendable kind of guy.
Oh, God, what does that even mean?
After a few years, I was called to an office, and there was a man in a plaid shirt and kind of a tweed jacket that professors wear. He asked me, "Do you have any idea about what we actually do here?" And to be honest, I didn't. There were many parts of the facility I couldn't enter. I imagined that down a maze of corridors were weapons being built, or prisoners being interrogated. But I had no idea about the anomalies. How could I? Before I was told anything, I had to sign a bunch of forms. There were so many I thought I'd get to find out who really killed JFK. And while they didn't come out and say it, what I inferred was that if I ever talk about what happens at the facility to someone outside the facility, Well, let's just say it's not the kind of thing they'd spell out on a piece of paper, but it involves padded cells and rusty tools.
Oh, goody. Oh, nice. Oh, wholesome. Threats of violence. Am I right, guys? They're wholesome. This won't go badly.
Scared though. I was part of something big, something secret, and I loved it. So I signed my life away with no hesitation. Soon after, I was introduced to my first anomaly.
When you simply sign away your humanitarian rights to the government. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The safe class, of course. They took me to an observation room, and from that room I could see into another room with a sign on the wall that read SCP-067. I just stood there, waiting for something to happen, when in walked another guy in a white lab coat. "Welcome to your first anomaly," he said. "Is it okay if I hook you up to this heart monitor? We want to gauge your reaction to what you see." "All I can see," I told him, "is an empty room with a table and what looks like a pen on top of some papers." "Correct."
Nothing creepy about that. Don't worry, this won't kill you in a gruesome way.
Half smiling, as if I was some kind of idiot. "That's SCP-067. I thought about telling him that if I needed years of training before I could see a pen, that I probably should have taken that fast food job.
Ah, what a joke. A pen? Pfft, this is easy.
Manager by now. Then they brought a young chimpanzee into the room, small enough to be harmless.
Okay.
One of the guys forced a pen into the scared chimp's hand and something strange happened. It started scribbling. Nonsense at first, but suddenly it was sketching and drawing faster and faster. I could catch glimpses of words and images.
Right, because originally people are like, oh my god, SCPs, these are just, metaphysical anomalies. Don't worry, it's all metaphysical and stuff. Oh, it's just pens that could draw, even in the hands of monkeys. Wholesome.
By the time they dragged it out, it was flailing around like it was possessed. "That pen has power," said the man in the lab coat. "A power whose source or origin we don't fully understand. That's why we're here. That's why you are here." One of the guys in the other room held it.
Bro's like, what? A pen? Crazy.
Chimps drawing up to the window. It was a perfect sketch of the Tower of London, intricate and brilliant. Above the sketch was the title, Tower of London, Tudor Period, circa 1541. The year Margaret Pole, the Countess of Salisbury, lost her head on the chopping block. Underneath that, the chimp had written, "Pity. She was no traitor. Take it from me."
Oh my god, what? Oh my god! Dude, even the simple pen writing itself, they have to make it scary as shit for some reason.
They didn't need to look at the heart rate monitor to see that I was shocked. That was far from the only anomaly I'd come into contact with, and I must have been doing something right, because in time I went from level 1 to 2 to level 3 security clearance, and that's when
Oh god, I would not want to get a higher level security clearance in this place. Oh my god.
me a containment specialist. I won't bore you with all the details, but as you can guess, I dealt with the containment of anomalies. A lot of my time was spent looking through small windows and cell doors, making sure that whatever was inside was still inside and still in one piece. Other times I worked with field agents when anomalies were brought in, a transition period that the arrested freaks didn't much like.
Dude's just like, wow, a woman? That's crazy. Nux's entire chat has never seen one, but here I am.
There was one certain anomaly, though, that I was tasked to oversee on many occasions. I like to think of it as my pet, but in hindsight, I was its pet.
Oh my god, he's just like Omni-Man's wife. That's crazy.
This was SCP-175.
Finally!
Something that was in what we
Finally!
call the Euclid class. A classification meaning that we don't fully understand it, but know it is very dangerous. We know it's intelligent, we know it's unpredictable, and we know it will kill. And for that reason, there's people tasked with containing it and keeping an eye on it at all times.
Okay, alright, finally, I'm ready, what is it? What is this thing that everyone's been telling me I needed to watch?
At first glance, you wouldn't guess just how dangerous 173
Bro, he's just a testicle with eyeballs.
is. You wouldn't think it's incredibly intelligent. In fact, you'd think the opposite. That's because it's more or less a walking slab of concrete and rebar with stunted limbs and
What?
traces of spray paint that give the impression of a dopey face.
It's just a blob of nut.
We have to enter its cell twice a week for cleaning duties. It leaves a disgusting, foul-smelling liquid on the floor. A reddish-brown substance.
Ah, yes, it's an anomaly because it pisses so much. It is a walking dildo that pisses everywhere. Fear it. Fear it!
that I can only describe as a mix of blood and waste products. Where that stuff comes from has remained a mystery since we first contained it in 1993. Going into the cell was always a 3-man job, because, and this is maybe the weirdest part about 173,
Okay.
you can't move if human eyes are watching it.
Oh, it's a weeping angel type shit.
That's why you need at least 2 people watching it at all times. If you were in the room watching 173 by yourself and blinked, you'd be dead before your eyes opened. We don't know how it moves that fast, but in that fraction of a second, your neck is snapped so hard it's almost like being decapitated.
Oh my god, and it goes for the neck too.
I've seen the videos to prove it. All it took was a sneeze. He wasn't even finished getting the rest of the achoo out when there was a flash, and his partner was left lying on the ground. His head twisted around the wrong direction. So, you can understand why we now require 3 men for any time we must enter once a—
Dude, that's crazy. So, as long as you're staring at it, it can't move. Fuck. That's spooky as hell. Okay, now at least I see why the pissing dildo is actually terrifying.
73's cell. Then, a few months ago, I was told that a long process would begin to train and re-educate some future Class Ds. Class Ds are mostly prisoners with lifelong sentences, or those we've taken from death row and given a new lease on life. We were apparently understaffed.
Okay, so I think this is the first time I'm actually watching them explain what the D-class personnel do. Death row guys, it's basically people that if they die, no one will miss them kind of thing.
So, why not employ these men whose lives had pretty much ended anyway? That was the rationale, or at least that's what they told me. I was told to train them.
So, what's the extent of this creature's power? Is there any way to actually figure out how strong it is? Because every time you just look away from it, insta-death.
On their new job, mopping up 173's mess, so that me and the rest of the containment specialists could focus on more important tasks. They hadn't been through the training I had, seen what I had seen. But after showing them the video of 173 nearly taking off a man's head, they were more than willing to follow the rules. They
yeah.
understood not to blink, or turn away or sneeze, and that any lapse in focus could lead to a violent death. So I started to show them the ropes, how we move as a team into the cell, and always keep the others informed on what we're doing. 173 was always sitting in the corner of a cell, no expression on that crude face.
Brother. So what's its power when your eyes are closed? Do we have any way to actually verify what it does? I mean, I get it breaks people's necks, but how? Does it walk up to him just super fast and snap his neck? I just wonder what the extent of this power is.
But when we walked in its cell, I got the feeling it knew something had changed. I felt almost as if it was communicating with me, but I couldn't tell what it was trying to say. And then, it happened. It was a Tuesday afternoon, 3 days from the last time we'd cleaned. As usual, 173 had covered the floor with that horrible liquid. We headed in to clean. My new team alert as always.
Leave it in its shit. Why do you have to keep cleaning its cell? It's its own fault. Literally.
Cleaned while others kept their eyes focused on the thing in the corner. Things were going smoothly when we heard a noise I knew very well. It was the sound of the cell door locking.
What?
Someone must have screwed up. Hey guys, we're locked in here. I shouted through the intercom. Nothing. Guys, the damn door is locked. Nothing.
Oh my god. Wait, so now you have a bunch of people that they know if there's ever a point where they're all sleeping, or even if 3 of them are sleeping and then the 4th one just blinks, they know they're all dead. Oh my god, that's horrifying.
I lost it a bit. Open the door, will you? Nothing. My team looked at me. The ones not on eye contact duty, that is. As if I should know what to do. Hoping that this had happened before and that there was some kind of standard plan to deal with it. There wasn't. We were always observed when in the room, and I knew that a technician couldn't accidentally lock the door. It was impossible.
Wait, this isn't some sort of test, right? This isn't some sort of higher up test, right?
There were protocols. Someone had done this on purpose. The 4 of us sat in the corner of the room as far from 173 as possible.
Yeah, like that makes a difference.
Our eyes locked on it. It didn't move an inch as usual.
Dude, if there's even a statistical chance that they all happen to blink at the same time. Bro, that's crazy. They're just waiting for their demise.
Just stood, staring at the wall as it always did. We stayed awake through the night, talking a little, holding on to the slim hope that something had gone wrong. But as night turned to day again, we all began to lose hope. We weren't sent here to clean. We were a test. Totally expendable.
Bro, even the doctor guy, even past the D class, they were expendable. Just to see the extent of SCP-173's strength.
Lab rats. But I wouldn't go down without a fight. We couldn't just stay up forever. That was a death sentence. I suggested that 2 of us stand, 1 sit and rest, and 1 get some sleep. We'd take shifts. A couple hours on, a couple hours off. Maybe we could show that we wouldn't give up. They'd have time to realize what they were doing was insane. Call off the test.
Yeah, you have to wait until the government organization decides to grow morals. It's as easy as that. It's simple.
And come free us. We made it through a couple of shifts like this, and it seemed like we'd actually be able to make it another day or two when everything went wrong. It was my turn to sit and rest when I heard the worst possible noise. Snoring. The con next to me was sleeping quietly, so it must be one of the standards.
Shit.
I glanced over for just a split second and saw both of them, leaning against the cell wall dozing. At the same time, I saw the flash. Crack, snap, pop.
Oh my god!
One after another, their necks were snapped. I'm not sure how it happened, but I was
Wait,
standing
why didn't it get this guy? Why didn't it actually get this guy? Why only the...
again, staring at 173, who was now in the corner.
Turned them into Rice Krispies.
Dead bodies with their heads twisted around piled up in front of it. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't stare at this thing forever. I felt myself giving up. I lowered my head to the ground and then finally broke my gaze, ready to die.
Oh my god.
And then, nothing happened. I slowly raised my head back up.
What?
There it was, its hideous face inches away from mine. It was then that I understood what we'd been containing, what we'd underestimated. I felt it again, like it was telling me something. It was telling me to close my eyes, to sleep. So I did. But as my eyes
He probably died instantly from the perspective of everyone around him, right? From the perspective of everyone around him, there was just like a little snap and the guy was dead, his neck broken in half. From his perspective, somehow he's getting like this whole weird state of nirvana. Like, what? That's so much scarier than just killing him.
closed, I didn't see darkness. I saw 173, or something like it, but not in the cell. I saw it outside, in the world, standing over children sleeping in their beds, watching. I saw them hiding in the shadows, staring out at passers-by. Then I realized they weren't watching, waiting to pounce. No, they were hiding. My eyes popped open as the door opened and in rushed 6 security personnel.
Oh wait, so he survives? I am so confused. What was the point of all of this?
They took me outside, jabbed my leg with a syringe, injecting me with something as the world faded away. Incident report. Time and date redacted. Following the experimental forced interaction with Euclid class anomaly SCP-173, subject has ceased responding to external stimuli and appears to have taken on the traits and behaviors of the anomaly.
What? It turned it into itself?
Subject now spends entire day sitting in corner of cell staring at the wall. Staff are advised to proceed with caution when dealing with subject, as the only behavior they engage in is an attempt to strangle anyone who enters the cell. No treatments have shown any effectiveness, and subject will unfortunately require incarceration, likely forever. This report has been read and approved by Redacted, and Dr. Siegfried Schwarz.
Bro, that's insane! And it just leaves you on that cliffhanger, not properly understanding how it went down. Frick, that one was scary as hell. Oh my god! This was one of the most highly recommended and requested SCPs for me to check out. So what a great way to start 2024 with Oh Death. Maybe I'm only thinking this because I'm dying of the flu and I am looking forward to seeing what the next world has to offer. So, we're going to be jumping right into SCP-2935 Oh Death. Apparently this one's going to give me nightmares, which is exciting because at least nightmares make me feel something.
There are some things human beings aren't meant to know, and it's the sworn duty of the SCP Foundation,
Like where the clitoris is, for example,
to discover and contain such information. But sometimes knowledge is discovered that shakes even the Foundation itself to its very core.
Oh, wait, so this SCP is knowledge? It's not like an actual existing creature, it's just the knowledge of something that's so horrifying? Dude, I love that kind of horror.
One such discovery occurred on April 28, 2016. That night, SCP-2935 made itself known to the Foundation personnel. To this day,
Made itself known? It sends them a freaking telegram and it's like, yo guys, I exist. Fear me.
The exact nature of SCP-2935 is a
SCP-2935, the clitoris, a Keter-class anomaly that cannot be found.
mystery that even the Foundation's brightest minds can't completely understand. Everything we know about SCP-2935 today comes from 3 doomed missions to the anomalous zone's interior. This is the story of those infamous expeditions. The nightmare began around 5 a.m. when
Okay.
SCP Foundation Site-81 in Bloomingdale.
That's crazy. So the only reason why they even know it exists is because it let them know it exists? Oh, Death walked up to them and pulled a Puss in Boots, bro.
Intercepted a distorted radio signal. Communications personnel at the site traced this strange signal back to the unincorporated area of Joppa, Indiana, near U.S. Interstate 70.
Joppa, Indiana? That place isn't real.
As is Foundation policy, a team of field agents were dispatched to the location in order to determine what they were dealing with. However, rather than finding anything that could logically produce such a signal, they instead discovered a long abandoned cemetery.
And how is a cemetery sending WhatsApp messages? Very suspicious.
The most recent death on any of the tombstones was recorded as being over 100 years ago, all the way back in 1908. On
That's scary, I guess. Not really. It's just an old cemetery. Okay, not that weird.
further investigation, the Foundation discovered an unmapped limestone cave opening beneath the cemetery, and when they sent a drone into the depths of the cave, it appeared to quickly exit out the other side of the cave. But something wasn't right. The area that the drone was observing appeared consistent with the landscape from which it entered, but now
What?
it looked somehow grayer. It lacked the color of
Wait, what? There's no way they enter a state of death or something when they walk into this mausoleum.
life of the place it just come from. The grass was dead. There were no trees, no shrubs, no animals or birds in the sky.
Okay.
They weren't looking at our world. They were looking at a strange reflection of our world on the other side of the cave. In fact, it wasn't
What? Like, I don't even understand what's this going on. You just walk into a parallel dimension of death?
a cave at all. It was a passageway between 2 dimensions.
There we go, baby. Pre-watched, pre-watched.
It was SCP-2935. Just then, they were able to unscramble the distorted
Dude, I love how their definition is like, yes, this world is dead. There's no colors.
transmission they'd been receiving. It went as follows. This is an automated emergency broadcast from the SCP Foundation and your national government.
Wait, was this an emergency broadcast from the SCP Foundation in the alternate dead universe? Bro, is this just taking place in the Nightosphere?
Or more of our sites is experiencing a communication breakdown, likely due to a containment breach of unknown magnitude. All citizens are ordered to stay in their homes as
Oh my glob, this is scary as hell. Like, there's always the threat that what happens if the current dimension becomes another O-Death dimension?
containment teams work to secure the breach. This message will broadcast from April 20th, 2016 until, at that point, the message would cut and repeat, as it had for 8 straight days. The message source, Site-81, but not this Site-81.
The Site-81 in the dead dimension. That's scary.
The SCP Foundation was receiving an emergency distress signal from themselves in another dimension, a bizarre event that even the Foundation had never experienced before. Field agents were terrified by the implications of what they just heard and contacted
So there's another dimension of absolute death where everyone's dying. Okay, but it's in another dimension. Easy, easy. You don't even need to contain it. Just need to put a freaking road cone in front of the cave entrance.
command to request additional units. The Foundation wished to fully understand this anomaly as quickly as possible due to the potential threat it could pose toward the Foundation, so they dispatched Mobile Task Force Epsilon 13, codenamed toward the Foundation. So they dispatched
And you know they're serious because they don't look identical. There's the short one, there's the Giga Chad, and there's Mohawk. These guys are an elite task force. There's no chance.
Mobile Task Force Epsilon 13, codenamed Manifest Destiny, to perform the first of 3
Manifest Destiny. That sounds like 2 stripper names.
and missions into the heart of the anomalous zone. The first exploratory mission into SCP-2935 was codenamed Gauntlet and consisted of a 4-man team fitted with full hazmat suits and direct video and audio links to Mission Command. The team was led by a field operative known only as Agent Juno. His subordinates were
Is that supposed to be important? Okay, so you have a... Alright, I guess they have to figure this shit out, but I wouldn't want to investigate a world of death. Just lock it up.
Agents Kale, Devon, and Underwood. Their directive was to gather samples and survey the area positioned directly around the insertion point, meaning the other cave mouth of SCP-2935. The mission only lasted about an hour, but what they saw in there would stay with these men for the rest of their lives.
Dude, I love the screaming animation that they
After a 15-minute trek through the cave, Manifest Destiny arrived in the mirror dimension, where they were struck by the eerie silence of a place that seemed identical and yet so different from their home dimension. The first observation they
alright, everything's dead. Alright, that's fine.
made was the total absence of all living vegetation. Trees, grass, weeds, everything, it was all dead. On orders from their superiors back in the original dimension, that we'll refer to from here on as Dimension Prime, Manifest Destiny headed deeper into the mirror dimension of SCP-2935.
Blow up the gate! Just blow up the gate, bro.
They traveled 2 kilometers without detecting a single sign of plant or animal life, not even insects. Eventually, they came up.
Bro, that's like Shadar Logoth from the Wheel of Time!
Farmhouse with 2 cars parked outside. With authorization from Command, Manifest Destiny breached the house and headed inside. Agent Kale confirmed that there was still power flowing to the building, as the lighting appeared to work just fine. But they came upon a horrifying discovery in the house's dining room. 3 adult corpses, 2 female, 1 male, were seated at the table. A 4th corpse, that of a male child.
This had to be super recent then, right? Like realistically, this death shit had to have just happened.
Was sprawled out on the ground nearby. As if the death of what looked to be an entire family wasn't awful enough, the Manifest Destiny team noticed
pretty awful, honestly. Pretty based of you, SCP, to point that out.
A number of other alarming details. There were no signs of decomposition on the bodies.
Yo, I called it!
Nor did there appear to be any obvious cause of death. The family's last meal was still on the table: chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans. While the food looked cold and stale, there was no evidence of rot or spoiling.
Because even the rot is dead. You could spam pre-watched. I'm just literally so good at this. You could spam pre-watched if you want.
The team found an open newspaper dated April 19th, 2016, illustrating that the family may have died a full 8 days before the discovery.
Damn.
In Dimension Prime, decay would already be very well underway by that point, yet here there wasn't even a smell. Instead, everything was just covered in a thin layer of dust. Command requested that
That's crazy.
Manifest Destiny collect samples of the
Dude, I was like not spooked until now, but I don't know. I'm feeling something spooky afoot. I was like, okay, dead dimension, close the gate, but dog.
as well as hair, skin, and fluids from the corpses for further study. Small electronics like smartphones were also taken from the bodies. Agent Devon turned on the television in the living room and found that while most stations were now running test signals, the shopping channel was still live. Well, the feed was live at least. Both hosts
Oh, see what he did there? Get it? Because they were not live. Got him.
sat in front of the cameras dead, but perfectly preserved. The date on the screen read April 28th, 2016, suggesting that the times of Dimension Prime and Mirror Dimension were exactly the same. In fact, everything seemed the same. The only difference between the 2 dimensions
Everyone's dead.
being that some kind of mysterious apocalyptic event had occurred in the last 8 days in SCP-2935's Mirror Dimension.
And it obviously wasn't instant because the mirror dimension was able to send the distress signal.
But exactly what had happened or how
If this is a completely mirror dimension, shouldn't they be able to like find SCP-682 in the freaking SCP Foundation in the mirror dimension? See if it worked on him? See what happens exactly? How far this death goes?
remained a mystery. When Manifest Destiny exited the farmhouse, they once again remarked on the lack of all signs of life around them. At this point, the team returned to the insertion point of SCP-2935, but were instructed to remain in the mirror dimension while additional units joined them inside. Manifest Destiny swelled to 16 members, with the notable addition of Agent Roy as the new commanding field
Dude, why is more members important? Like, what are they gonna do?
officer. The team split into 2 groups of 8, and Agent Roy and his men infiltrated the Mirror Dimension Site-81, while Agent Juno's detachment attempted to access the base's off-site deep storage servers. This second expedition was codenamed Overland, and led the Foundation's field agents even deeper into the terrifying mystery of SCP-2935. Accessing the site was easy for Roy's detachment. It seemed there were relatively few cars on the road at the time of the mysterious extinction event. In the distance, fire still smoldered in the wreckage of planes that looked to have just dropped out of the sky. Agent Roy and his team, like all
Wait, the planes are on autopilot. Why would the plane just drop out of the sky?
SCP Foundation personnel, were fitted with vitals trackers, and they assumed that the distress signal that started this whole thing could have been triggered by the deaths of every member of the Foundation at once in the Mirror Universe. Once inside
shit.
Site-81, they realized that the assumption was probably right. Going door to door in the administrative wing, they found the perfectly preserved corpses of everyone they knew.
Yo, that's scary as shit. Oh my god. Dude, I love when they come up with a premise in SCP and they literally take that premise to the extreme.
To be stationed there in Dimension Prime, people who were without a doubt still alive in their universe. Samples from the corpses that the Foundation would later study even confirmed the reason that the bodies were perfectly preserved. The corpses had experienced complete and sudden death on a cellular level, and even the bacteria that would typically take part in the decomposition process had died with it.
Called it, but damn, that's scary as hell.
In SCP-2935, death was total and absolute across all types of life forms. As Agent Roy's team ventured further into the bowels of Site-81, they made another unsettling discovery: their own corpses, in roughly the same spots they'd been inside Dimension Prime's Site-81 8 days prior. Some of the Foundation's top scientists, including the esteemed Dr. Bright, were also found dead inside the facility in an attempt to see just—
Dr. Bright died? Oh my god, and that guy's immortal. I was about to ask about him, but of course they get into it. Of course they talk about him. Dr. Bright's immortal. I mean, sort of immortal. His consciousness survives forever, but I guess if there's no one for his consciousness to grab hold to.
Just how far this unexplained phenomenon stretched, Agent Roy's team decided to inspect the containment cells, where they found that all the mirror universe—
I cannot believe they actually did this. I said this like inquisitively, if they would actually just check the SCPs in the universe, and they actually are. I love how thought out SCP lore is.
Versus SCPs, including SCP-2996, were dead. In his desperation to find some kind of exception to the extinction event, Agent Roy revealed a terrifying secret to the rest of his team. SCP-682, the immortal
I guessed it! I guessed that the lizard would be alive!
Tropic lizard, and one of the deadliest creatures known to the SCP Foundation, was contained at this very facility, right—
or maybe not—
below them. Could it have something to do with what was going on here? They descended into the containment facility to discover an even more unsettling truth. SCP-6—
No! It even killed the lizard.
682, the unkillable anomaly, floated dead in its tank. Death truly made no exceptions within SCP-2935. Agent Roy's team left the site and rendezvoused with Agent Juno's team to send their research back to Dimension Prime using automated drones. Both teams remained in the mirror dimension for another manned operation codenamed 19.
Get out of there! It is scary. There is nothing you can do. If it kills 682, you have no chance if it comes into Universe Prime. If it shows up in Universe Prime, you're dead. At that point, don't deal with instant death. Live your life like it's gonna go on forever, because there's no reason not to. It's not like you could avoid
They
it.
had no idea it would be their final mission.
Oh no!
As they descended deeper into the facility, passing more dead SCPs, they discovered one final clue. Based on the activity of the Foundation servers, the event occurred at roughly 3 a.m. While underground in SCP-2935 Site-81, the team accidentally activated the base's on-site nuclear weapon.
How do you accidentally activate a nuclear weapon?
Failsafe meant to be detonated in the case of an emergency containment breach. Due to the base's failsafe protocols, every member of the Manifest Destiny team was locked and sealed inside Site-81. They, along with everything else, were incinerated in the nuclear blast. Once again, the mirror universe inside of SCP-2935 was lifeless. But that isn't where it ends. When the automated drones returned—
This was one of the expedition teams of all time, guys.
out of the SCP-2935 cave to the field operations in Dimension Prime, they were in for their own horrifying discovery. None of the footage or information gathered from SCP-2935 illuminated how or why the extinction event occurred. Everyone and everything simply dropped dead at the exact same moment.
Honestly, that's probably even scarier. If there's some creature that's doing it, at least you have an answer. This fear of the unknown is so much scarier.
Nobody was aware, nobody was prepared. Death came suddenly and silently, and none were spared. All the Foundation on Dimension
Bro, turn that into a rhyme.
we're left with was a message from one of the agents from Manifest Destiny, Agent Keller. His final message was, "I don't have any answers. I don't think there are any. I'll do this one thing and hope that fixes it. Seal it shut. You've got to lock it in here with us. I'm sorry." The Foundation were at first confused by this until they discovered a final encrypted audio log buried in the files recovered from the Mirror Universe's Site-81.
Oh god, don't tell me this was caused by the SCP Foundation. Don't tell me the SCP Foundation caused insta-death.
It was a message from Keller himself, but not the Keller from Universe Prime. In this message, Keller described the Foundation in the Mirror Universe, receiving the exact same distorted transmission that they did a few days earlier from a cave in Joppa, when he and the others were dispatched plunged inside, they discovered the same lifeless post-extinction event world that was now so familiar to the Foundation command. But there was a key difference. This wasn't the mirror dimension they'd just been studying, but a third, entirely different dimension. In his haunting final words, Mirror Dimension Keller admits that whatever caused the event in that third dimension, an entity in that Mirror Dimension Keller believed this was the specter of death itself and had followed him back into his world, and history had repeated itself. SCP-2935 was the passageway through which absolute death could pass from dimension to dimension, and our dimension was the next in line. The deaths of Manifest Destiny may have saved our entire universe, as anyone passing back through the cave had the potential to bring death itself back with them.
I get it. I get it. Dude, so if they would have just listened to me and they would have freaking put an orange cone in front of the cave, they would have been fine. Basically, I was right all along.
The Foundation decided in the end to follow Keller's advice. They sealed the entrance to SCP-2935 with concrete and now kept it under constant watch, since what waits behind the barrier is an entity even they have no power to stop if it ever got through. After all, it had killed them all before, or at least another version of them. What's one more dimension on the pile?
Honestly true. That's so scary. Holy shit, bro. The cave activates the lich, bro.
Why it may now just seem like a simple slab of concrete under an abandoned cemetery, this is why SCP-2935 might be the most dangerous SCP of all.
Dude, that was a good one, bro. That was a good one. Damn. And ultimately, this is just a guess. You still don't know. God just flipped the off switch, and that was it. That was a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages, I have been requested heavily to cover this SCP-2662 Cthulhu. Now, this is an SCP animation that a lot of people have been asking me to cover. This is from SCP Explained, and I was told that this is a banger, it's a good one. Now, as someone that knows, I only know the Lovecraftian version of Cthulhu. I don't know how it actually affects the SCP Foundation. So, peoples, we are jumping right into it. And I am more than excited to see what this is all about. There is no way this will actually scare me. I'm just telling you in advance. And I know you're going to say, oh, you say that before every SCP reaction. I'm doing the SCP Cthulhu deep dive. This one will not scare me because I am already familiar with the Lovecraft one. It's not actually going to shake me that much. All right, let's see what we got.
Over 50 men and women, clad in red robes, kneel before an unholy altar. They chant and mutter indecipherable words.
Dude, of course, the guy in the red robes has a mustache, obviously.
Words of cruelty and madness, of obsession and sacrilege.
Not long
ago, these were regular people. Computer technicians, teachers, plumbers, construction workers, accountants.
I love how he's just like, they were humans. I will now list off regular human jobs.
This was before they fell under the ungodly influence of a new ruler. The center of this makeshift...
Oh god, wait, how does this fit into the SCP Foundation? How do you actually contain Cthulhu?
Worship was once a normal school gymnasium, but it's now the home of a huge statue.
Everything starts as a normal school gymnasium, bro, and then the birth rate declines, and then the hentai artists take over.
A humanoid being, wreathed in tentacles. Its head is more like a squid or cuttlefish than anything resembling an actual human face.
Oh my god, it's Davy Jones.
While he's known to the cultists as the Tentacled God, the beast...
Tentacled God? You could not have thought of something less original. Cultists? Could you not have thought of something better, brother?
They worship is known to the SCP Foundation as SCP-2662.
Oh god.
And he sits in the belly of one of their expansive containment facilities.
Oh wait, they actually managed to contain Cthulhu, the Lord of Hentai himself?
Locked away from the world. But not for long, if his devoted followers have anything to say about it.
So interesting. So it seems like so it's mostly about the cult of Cthulhu, so much more than the actual being, right?
This is their god, all-powerful and unchanging, and when it...
All-powerful. Meanwhile, it was just kind of captured and it's just sitting in some SCP facility. Puny god.
Comes to springing him from containment. No tactic is too vile or underhanded to get the job done.
Dude, I know what to do, all right? Listen, if I know one thing about tentacle monsters in gymnasiums, it's you gotta lure it out with a Japanese schoolgirl.
Their mortal leader and high priest, a man in a purple robe calling himself Brother Marsh, walks among their crouched forms.
Yes.
He whispers instructions for the great day of liberation that's soon to come, providing everyone plays their part. It's a plan months in the making, and one
baby.
that, if it goes off without a hitch, could free their monstrous god into the world.
Wait, so what has it been doing until now? It's just kind of vibing there? If it's really some powerful, all-powerful, crazy deity, why would you pick to worship a creature that's just stuck in the basement of some human facility?
They would strike at the very
I
heart
told you this one wasn't gonna scare me.
of their enemy, the SCP Foundation, when they least expect it. And nothing
God.
shall stand in their way. How could they lose when they have a god on their side?
Their god sucks, I guess, and it's stuck in a basement.
But why did all these normal people become violent zealots for a squid-faced deity? It all
Because it gives great head?
began with a dream. To those who experienced these dreams, they felt more like prophecies, premonitions of the glorious horrors to come.
Oh, frick.
A red sky, billions dead, and billions more enslaved. A dark silhouette on the horizon. Their tentacled god holding dominion over all. At first, it
Wait, so Cthulhu's major power here really seems like it's not like it itself is strong. It just seems like it can manage to get any regular guy just indoctrinated in its cult. I guess the fear is what it could do to some subconscious person.
just seemed like a strange nightmare. The ones who experienced it woke up shaken and afraid, hoping to shake the images from their mind, but they couldn't. Every night, the nightmare would return. They'd see the images, the red sky, the dead and enslaved.
Oh my god, it's Camden Gerard Davis. Okay, whatever, that reference wasn't
The tentacled god. And after a while, it would come to them even when they weren't asleep, eventually happening whenever they closed their eyes. Little by little,
Dude.
this
And it
seemed-
just slowly but surely eats at your subconscious. Every time you close your eyes, you see Cthulhu. You sleep, you see Cthulhu. And sooner or later, it will eventually indoctrinate you into its cult. What's so scary about that is how cults kind of operate. In some weird, twisted way, they operate by feeding on your subconscious so much more than your actual conscience.
stopped looking so hideous and started to look glorious. They felt his presence in their minds, slowly pushing them towards their inevitable future. They started to realize that they wanted him to rule over the universe and to
Dude.
experience the honor of serving him. Many of them abandoned their homes and families,
So
leaving their
it's the impact, the effect that it has on the human mind that makes it so dangerous. It's not like it itself is actually dangerous.
friends and loved ones
Yeah.
left to worry that they'd gone insane. In their eyes, they were safer than they'd ever been. They finally had purpose.
Yes.
They were working in service of something far greater
They're just
than
like me.
themselves. The influence of the tentacled god drew them closer to one another. They would meet in secret, exchanging information from the prophecies their ruler sent to them in their dreams.
That's honestly crazy. Wait, so it sends different prophecies to different people just so that they could tell each other and create a community.
They worshiped
You find the girl of your dreams and then she just leaves you for Cthulhu? No, don't say things like that. No.
together, building altars and idols to congregate around. They performed dark blood rituals involving human and animal sacrifice. It was when Brother Marsh, the Anointed One, arrived to guide them towards their true mission
Anointed by who?
that things kicked into high gear.
Kicked? That reminds me of how I stream right now on kick.com/Nuxanor, and you should follow me there.
Just 3 months prior, Brother Marsh had been an office drone working in data entry for a large insurance company.
Dude, I love it. It's like, I used to be a regular guy, completely unimportant in any way, and then the mighty tentacle god has given me purpose and power, and now I have authority over all of these minions. Why does every second stage cult leader just have the most boring past in the history of time?
But the tentacled god invaded his thoughts with a simple message. Free me,
Oh, shit.
and the new world I create shall be your playground.
Oh, God.
Since then, he devoted himself completely to the cause, quitting his job and maxing out his credit cards to help fund his new life.
It's like, oh my god, Brother Marsh, you're so cool. You have this cool throne, and you have this cool thing. I am in crippling debt.
Purpose.
I will make Roblox a reality.
Infiltrating the SCP Foundation and releasing his inhuman ruler.
Dude, is he... There's no way he actually succeeds in getting Cthulhu to breach containment, right?
From its imprisonment. That was the single goal he united the cultists under. Freedom for the tentacled god. And at long last, they had all the pieces in place to strike. They'd finally gathered the necessary intel to subvert the will of the most powerful secret organization on Earth.
Damn.
Even the strongest institution is made of people, and people are weak. Unlike the almighty—
But you're people! This is just people versus people. You can't use the people are weak gimmick against people when you're people.
tentacled god, people could be broken.
Listen, I've seen a tentacle god or two breaking people, and it was not in the same fashion that he is describing.
In question were Kelly Thompson, Sidney Levitt, Jordan Broche, Dr. Juan Gutierrez, and Jillian Larson. Dr. Juan Gutierrez was a researcher with level 3 clearance on the site.
Just out of curiosity, if Cthulhu's so fucking cool, and it could just, it could pop into your dreams and control you, why doesn't it do this to the freaking SCP agents that are containing him? Why does it need to go for cubicle workers outside? I'm thoroughly unimpressed by Cthulhu thus far. Listen, I love Cthulhu as like a Lovecraftian entity. However, not impressed, not impressed. There's usually a twist, and I'm expecting a twist. But so far, my dick is soft.
Obtained. Sidney Levitt and Jordan Broche
tentacles here, so I'm just saying.
were both security officers charged with verifying personnel clearance on site. Kelly Thompson was a member of site administration with research authorization powers, and Jillian Larson was a research assistant who often collaborated with Dr. Gutierrez.
All right.
These 5 were the key to getting access to
The Power Rangers.
SCP-2662 and bringing their plan to fruition. Normally, personnel dossiers
Does this actually work? There's no way this group of losers that got mind controlled by a tentacle guy are actually going to break this thing out of jail, out of the SCP Foundation, right?
on people working for the Foundation were highly confidential, but the devotees of the tentacled god had their ways. They had a number of computer experts in their ranks, more than capable of hacking in and pulling some basic information off of Foundation servers.
Dude, what the frick are these people? This is like a Discord server.
For the other information they needed, they turned to some good old-fashioned torture, which is often the most effective method when you need some quick results.
I mean, listen, torture works, I suppose.
Of course, while the
Pretty
cult's grip
PG.
on sanity may have been a little tenuous, they weren't stupid. While gathering their intel, they also made sure to find out what exactly they were up against. SCP-2662 was being held in a humanoid containment
Did they just change voice actors in the middle of this video?
cell and guarded by
Okay.
on-site Task Force Town 9, better known as the Belligerent Bodyguard.
We're the belligerent bodyguards. No one will ever get past us. We're guarding a tentacle god.
These aren't lazy, donut-chomping mall cops. These are a heavily trained, heavily armed fighting force. Though
And
the
you can tell because they have toothpicks in their mouths.
cultists had one thing that these Foundation soldiers didn't:
Crippling debt.
the element of surprise.
I like my answer better.
For everything to go off perfectly, Brother
They
Marshall
have nothing to lose. I have 4 terabytes of tentacle porn on this hard drive.
His plans would have to be executed within a single day, and they were already on the clock. Tau 9 had been charged with tracking down any new SCP-2662 cults and dismantling them, and Brother Marsh knew that it was only a matter of time before the Foundation tracked them down and did the same to them.
Okay.
If they wanted any chance of freeing the tentacled god, then they'd need to strike quickly and with overwhelming force.
Dude, is it just me? Is it just me? Or is the character
Oh,
design
God.
of this guy,
Then they
the
need-
tentacles get closer and closer to his dick every single time we see him. Like they're moving up of his little robe thing.
Need to strike quickly and with overwhelming force. The SCP-2662 worshippers were able to
It's
secure—
so interesting. Most of the most dangerous SCP creatures that are actually in lockdown in the Foundation, when they breach containment, it's because they are strong. 682 Lizard breaches containment because it's indestructible. I'm just saying. That's why that breaches containment. The old man breaches containment because it melts through walls and opens pocket dimensions, okay? The shy guy breaches containment because it saw a face and nothing can stop it once it actually sees someone and wants to go destroy them. Cthulhu, right? This Eldritchian entity, an outer-worldly being, needs ex-cubicle workers to break it out of containment. I'm just saying that does not speak great for its credibility.
Foundation personnel and station members outside each of them, including one who could realistically imitate each. They waited for night to fall and broke into each of their homes as they slept.
Of course this goober has a pocket watch.
What followed was a sequence of ruthless and efficient murders done in the cause of freeing
shit.
their god. Dr. Gutierrez was shot in the head while he
Oh
slept.
my god!
Sydney
This group of dude, I guess ultimately, you know the most powerful thing you can give anyone? Give them a cause.
Levitt and Jordan Broche were both stabbed to death before either even realized what was happening. Thompson, who'd gotten up to use the bathroom, went down in a hail of machine gun fire.
They went to assassinate a sleeping lady with a machine gun.
Jillian Larson had seen that masked figures were breaking into her home and attempted to flee, but was caught and beaten to death by cultists in her hallway.
Wait, so one of them gets killed by a machine gun in the middle of the night, the other one gets beaten to death. Where's the happy medium here?
It was a strange irony that people whose day jobs entailed working with some of the most dangerous and nightmarish anomalies imaginable were murdered in their homes by nothing more than regular humans.
I do see the irony. Like, okay, all right. Maybe Cthulhu could break out. Maybe this is just him wanting to fuck with people. Him saying, you are dealing with the supernatural all day, and you will be killed in the middle of the night by your own brothers. Like, maybe that's just Cthulhu's game plan. Just fucking with people a little bit.
So far, Brother Marsh's plan had gone perfectly, with all 5 key personnel murdered within a 2-minute period. Next, the selected doppelgangers stole clothes from their victims' closets and were handed the correct forged documentation. The next morning, each replacement began their journeys to the site where the tentacled god was being contained, while the rest of the cult armed
Dude, this is like an actual insane breakout plan.
themselves in preparation for their own part in the plan. Nobody at the Foundation seemed to notice anything amiss when the 5 arrived on site.
Token woman here. I look like every other woman, so it'll be fine.
When you work for the SCP Foundation, more mental energy is devoted to following the rules that keep you alive than to memorizing the faces of all your coworkers, and each one slipped neatly into position, disappearing into the familiarity of office life.
Oh my god.
Infiltrating
Oh my god, dude, and you know it's like, it's perfect. Not only do I look like this doctor, but I used to work in a cubicle myself. I also used to have a boring desk job, so I know exactly what to do.
the site was one thing. Getting past the belligerent bodyguards and into the cell of the tentacled god would be another thing entirely. That's where the rest of the
Dude, Cthulhu knew to intrude the minds of people that would be perfect clones. Sure.
cult would come into play. Heavily armed with whatever firearms they could get their hands on, the rest of the devotees of the tentacled god, Brother Marsh included, would attack the containment site head-on.
God
In the
damn.
ensuing chaos, the 5 cultists who had already
God.
infiltrated
Oh
the site
God,
could take
no.
advantage of the distraction and break into the containment chamber. It was perfect.
Shit, the plan actually worked. Here you have the SCP Foundation, the most secure organization in the world, to the point that governments don't want to fuck with them. And just a bunch of regular people are able to perfectly plan taking them down and breaking into one of the most secure confinement centers. That's actually horrifying.
Launched their attack from the outside and from within.
All right.
When Brother Marsh declared that the time was right, the assault began. A legion of gun-wielding cultists seemed to spring out of nowhere and started shooting up the warehouse that was a front for the containment site. The site
Okay.
quickly mobilized guards and task force members to take on the sudden threat. And just as Brother Marsh had anticipated, the site director called on the majority of Town 9 to help repel the violent
Just as I predicted, they called reinforcements. Wow, he's so fucking smart, guys.
cultists from their perimeter. Town 9 obeyed, leaving 3 task force members behind to guard SCP-2662's
Let's mobilize all our forces except for 3 men. We will send all of them there. Yes. The 3 men, they'll cover this area.
containment chamber.
Yes.
They expected to be guarding the cell from rampaging religious zealots seeking an audience with their god. What they didn't expect was a group of 5 Foundation employees walking right up to them
Yo, that's so messed
and
up.
opening fire, killing 2 Town 9 members and taking the 3rd as hostage.
Bro, oh my god, there is no way this plan was able to get executed so well. It's not like Cthulhu even planned it for them. All Cthulhu needed to do is give a cause to a bunch of people, and they were able to take down the most secure facility in the world.
The infiltrators had found the tentacled god's containment cell in the low-risk humanoid ward.
Oh?
Their hostage insisted that using him wouldn't give them any leverage. The rest of his team would neutralize the whole group, him included, if that's what it took to stop them. The infiltrators explained that using him as leverage was never their intention. He wasn't a hostage at all. He was a sacrifice.
Oh my fucking god, dude. That's messed up. You can never take me alive. That's okay.
The cultists of the tentacled god detonated explosives, creating a hole in the wall and finally giving them access to their deity. They climbed through and gazed upon him in awe.
All right, dude, it's time. It's time. We are literally, 85% done the episode, and we're finally about to see Cthulhu for the first time.
There stood SCP-2662,
Wait.
twice as tall as a regular man, with 10 huge tentacles emerging from its back. In their months of envisioning this creature, they'd pictured it sitting on a throne made of thousands of human bones, ready to dictate its commands to the obedient liberators. What they certainly didn't expect was to see the tentacled god hunched over
What? Dude, it's just Dream's face reveal.
So they stuck to the plan and began chanting. They pulled out a sacrificial dagger and began sacrificing their captured
Oh my fucking god.
Town 9 member. It was at this point that SCP-2662 turned and saw what they were doing with a look of pure horror. He rose up from his computer, his headphones getting caught as he did so. He told them to—
His headphones getting caught? Dude, he tripped on his chair and stubbed his toe. What? God's work in mysterious ways. Okay, dude.
go away, that he didn't want them here, and that them murdering people in his bedroom like this was inconsiderate and disgusting.
Guys, it's so inconsiderate and disgusting that you're murdering people in my bedroom!
The cultists became even more confused. Why wasn't their god accepting their offerings? What were they doing wrong?
Dude, this is the scariest part of cult mentality. So when someone starts a cult by accident, the cult fuels the cult and creates the religion. When the actual creature that started the cult, or the creature that they are supposed to be revering, has absolutely no interest in the bastardized ways they have evolved. What an insane message and moral.
They tried more chanting and painting arcane symbols on the floor in blood. But
Why are you painting on my floor in blood?
this just seemed to make the creature angrier. He told them, in a tone more fitting for a teenage boy than a Lovecraftian god, to just leave him alone so he
Average
could
teenage boy with a tumor coming out of his head.
play his video games. This was seriously not cool.
Yeah, I guess.
The cultists were baffled. They told the tentacled god that they were there to free him. He replied that he didn't need saving.
I don't want to be free, I'm just playing Minecraft!
That crazy stalkers like them were why he turned himself into the Foundation in the first place.
Wait, so does he actually have crazy Lovecraftian powers? He's like,
Everywhere I go, people revere me and make cults about me. I hate opening up tentacle hentai and seeing myself on the front page, so I just got myself arrested talking about video games.
Before the cultist infiltrators could get another word in, the remaining members of Town 9 stormed into the containment cell and gunned them down with surgical precision. Marsh and the rest of the cultists were all killed in the firefight.
they really expected Cthulhu to save them.
Town 9 didn't look the least bit surprised upon entering 2662's cell. This was a common occurrence, unfortunately.
Wait, huh? People breaking in to save Cthulhu because they get mind controlled without even noticing? Trying to break Cthulhu out of the SCP Foundation happens all the time. He is subconsciously and unknowing intruding and controlling the minds of many. He's creating cult after cult by total accident just by merely existing. I take it back. This was a really good one. What the frick?
They had to deal with an attempted cult invasion every few months.
Every few months, another cult breaks in to save their Lord and Savior Cthulhu. This guy's just trying to play Minecraft. Oh my lord, what?
Because SCP-2662's main anomalous ability is inspiring violent cults who relentlessly track down and worship it with arcane and bloodthirsty rituals.
Wow. Oh my god. He accidentally girl bosses and gaslights people into worshiping him. That's a crazy twist on the concept.
Problem is, 2662 doesn't do this consciously, and definitely doesn't like the results. That's why he's under the voluntary care of the SCP Foundation, who keeps him amused with video games and reading material, while fending off the deranged cults who try to invade and abduct him.
Dude's just sitting there warping the world around him, and the SCP Foundation's job isn't to contain him, it's just to take down nutcases that end up getting accidentally mind controlled by him. Also, goddamn, look at that bulge. They wonder why this guy's the protagonist of so many hentai.
Devotees of the tentacled god, just one of many cults who'd broken into 2662's containment cell, The remaining Tau 9 members apologized to the tentacled creature for the disturbance, allowing him to return to his gaming. They assured him that it'd probably be at least a few more months before something like this happened again.
Oh my god, and there's no end to this.
2662's cell was repaired, and the Foundation returned to its task of seeking out would-be cult emancipators, because for the SCP Foundation, it's not always about the anomaly that's being kept in containment, but what's being kept down.
Dude, that was a good one. I am so floored. Dude, I did not see that coming at all. I promised you guys more SCPs. So we are going to be trying from different people. You told me I should watch Dr. Bob specifically. And so I just went to his most viewed one, which is Tides of War. Now, I don't know anything about Tides of War. Let's see what we're doing here. I was told this is going to be scary. I'm not going to be scared. Please, please, please. This ain't no Shy Guy.
Two massive creatures are locked in a fight to the death in the middle of the sea.
All right, kaijus, and I don't have to worry about them. They're fighting with each other. Easy.
Destroyers, cruisers, and battleships fire special weapons and harpoons at one of the creatures.
Why? Just let them fight with each other. What do you care?
Attempting to help turn the tide in favor of one.
Oh, Tides of War. Okay, interesting.
But they appear to have almost no effect on the gigantic monster. Hi, I'm Dr. Bob, and this is SCP-3700, also known as the Tides of War.
Wait, so these SCPs are specifically in the middle of a battle, and the SCP Foundation's job is trying to change the tide of the war in some way, because if the outcome, it does not end up the way they wanted, it could be some sort of threat to humanity. Is that sort of the fear here? Is that what we're worried about?
SCP-3700 is what the SCP Foundation has labeled an 800-kilometer circular area in the North Sea.
What? Wait, so the SCP is an area. That's the containment.
Located southeast of Iceland and north of the United Kingdom. The circle contains the Faroe, Orkney, and Shetland Islands.
Okay.
The seafloor is abnormally deep in this area, at roughly 5 kilometers below the ocean surface, roughly 20 times deeper than the rest of the North Sea. SCP-3700 experiences all kinds of strange, anomalous activity, including extreme weather and geological events.
Bro, it's just the Grand Line. SCP-3700, the Grand Line. Pay no attention to the sea beasts, but hey.
These are caused by the interaction between two separate entities, which have been designated as SCP-3700-1 and SCP-3700.
Oh, so the creatures are not actually the SCPs here. It's the area where these two colossal creatures happen to live. That is the SCP.
3700-2. SCP-3700-1 is an arthropod resembling the common lobster,
All right,
except
common
this
lobster.
crustacean is 6 kilometers long.
What? Oh my fucking god, what the frick? Oh my lord, what is this, One Piece?
It has a variety of blue, yellow, pink,
Okay, what the frick is this about?
and red markings carved into its carapace that resembles a woman's face.
Why? Why though?
It has 6 arm-like limbs, 4 of which have claws, with 2 having club-like appendages on the end, and 8 legs. It also has 4 orange eyes at the end of stalks.
Alright.
3701's carapace shows significant damage, with many scars, cracks, and even some holes that reveal its soft inner tissue. It has several anomalous capabilities that it uses in its battle against SCP-3700-2. Its 2 club-like appendages.
So hold on. So it's these 2 SCPs that are locked in eternal combat. This is just freaking Groudon versus Kyogre 2. Unfortunately, Big Daddy Rayquaza isn't gonna come here and stop them, so they just have to kind of quarantine the area. Okay, I mean, at least they're locked in combat with each other.
Are capable of striking, but they also produce a cavitation bubble that generates a force
What bubble?
equal to several tons of dynamite. Similar to what the mantis shrimp is able to do, but on a much larger scale.
Dude, I love that it's like grounded in some sort of reality.
2 of its eyes are able to project concentrated blasts of gamma
Holy shit, this thing is invincible. Oh my god.
radiation.
Dude, just show a picture of the Shy Guy, dude. See what happens if the Shy Guy could get through this.
It's able to stop storms or other weather phenomena. Despite being 6 kilometers long, 3701 can reach speeds faster than 100 kilometers per hour.
God damn. Holy shit.
And has even shown the ability to demanifest and disappear if it doesn't locate
What? It could just phase out of existence like you walk too far away from an Elden Ring boss?
SCP-3702 within roughly 15 days after appearing.
That's scary.
SCP-3701 appears to be friendly in nature and shows some small signs of intelligence.
Let's go. Let's go.
When accompanied by Foundation ships, it will either ignore them or provide a small amount of aid by helping to move disabled craft away from danger.
Yo, this thing is awesome. Wait a second. This thing is great. Oh my lord, so why do we hate it so much? Oh, realization just dawned in. It's the other one. It's the other creature. So the tides of war is you have to make sure that the lobster wins. Oh, I'm starting to see the horror at bay.
After appearing, it travels the full 800-kilometer area of SCP-3700 in a spiral pattern from the center out toward the edge. Interestingly, the center is the exact center point between the 3 island chains located within the circle, and is home
Just Bermuda Triangle too.
to numerous shipwrecks. Since being first discovered by the Foundation in 1922, 3701 has slowed down considerably in its movement and has lost a significant amount of mass.
Oh, so it's slowly dying. So they need to make sure that it wins this fight, because if it dies before the fight's over, they won't be able to take down the other guy. Oh, that's actually horrifying.
It was first measured at a length of 16 kilometers, a full 10 kilometers longer than
Oh, God, dude's shrinking. Oh, it's gonna die eventually.
its current state. It also appears weaker and seems to be having a much harder time subduing SCP-3702. SCP
This is like an ecosystem that you know one of the predators in the ecosystem is gonna die, and Lord Lobster is not gonna be able to contain the savagery that the other one is gonna do.
3702, on the other hand,
That's just a penis. That's just a dick. Okay,
Two.
listen. I've seen some dicks in
SCP.
Editor, cut that out. You know, editor, just annihilate that now. Don't even have traces of that in the video. God
2,
damn.
on the other hand, looks like it belongs to the family of ray-finned fish and has an appearance that closely resembles the pelican eel, except that it has 13 appendages encircling the middle section of its body. These appendages look like the tentacles of an octopus, complete with suckers,
What's the point of them though? They're not that long.
can tuck them into its body when not in use.
Oh God damn!
3702 is currently 32 kilometers long
God damn! It is big.
and opposite to
That's the biggest sperm cell I've ever seen.
SCP-3701, it is growing larger, having only
Oh God. Oh God. So it's only inevitable. It's inevitable that this thing is gonna eventually win the fight.
meters long when first identified in 1945. Most of that length is the creature's whip-like tail that ends in a sharpened point. It's currently roughly 1 kilometer wide at its
God damn! That is one girthy, veiny, hairy, dick-looking fish.
largest point, and each of its 13 tentacles is around 60 meters long.
Not to get canceled on Twitter, but I am suddenly curious if there's SCP hentai.
Its most
Let's
distinctive
go.
feature is its massive mouth, which can open up almost 3 kilometers wide. 3702 is black in color, with white, purple, and red bioluminescent lines that resemble a man's face on either side of its torso.
Okay, what is up with these colored lines? They are freaking me out. What is the story here?
SCP-3702 can create sudden changes in the weather,
Okay, so they both can change the weather in some way.
generating huge storms and Category 5 hurricanes.
Okay, but what do we care? No one goes into that area. That's it. Leave it alone. Ah, but what if it wins? Would it leave that area if it ends up beating Lord Lobster?
As well as massive whirlpools that suck in any vessel within 150 meters before grabbing them with its tentacles and tearing them apart.
I want to be grabbed by tentacles and torn apart.
It's also able to produce high-energy sound waves and streams of blue fire from its mouth that it uses to destroy close-range targets. SCP-3702
How has this thing not won the fight by now? This is just Kyogre over here.
appears at random locations within the 800-kilometer area, except during the spring and autumn equinoxes. when it appears at the exact center of SCP-3700.
Okay, cute little lore.
It stays submerged.
Lore adage for no reason. This is just Kyogre on crack. Hell yeah.
Unless it encounters 3701 or another object, and will demanifest roughly 15 days after first appearing.
What's demanifest? Oh my god, bro.
Or object that approaches it, and has even been witnessed destroying entire pods of whales.
Goddamn.
Conventional weapons have no effect on it, and even special anomalous weapons used by the Foundation have only had a moderate effect.
Bro, just show it the shy guy. Let the shy guy fucking go ham.
Only 3701 has so far been able to subdue it. When SCP-3701 and 3702 do meet each other, they will engage in a prolonged fight.
Yo, when they meet each other, it's just a kaiju match, bro. We need Rayquaza stat. Rayquaza, where you at?
With each attempting to temporarily kill or subdue the other. Historically, the winner of each contest would swap depending on which half of the year it was, with 3701 consistently winning during the Northern Hemisphere's spring and summer, and 3702 winning during the fall and winter.
They got that weather boost, baby. Water attacks and rain. He just used sunny day before the fight.
However, since the Foundation has begun implementing containment procedures, SCP-3701 has won the last 64 cycles in a row. A number of changes happen when
Yo, 3701 taking names, baby.
one of the creatures wins. When 3701 is successful, major storms in the area immediately cease, crop yields double, and local oceanic life increases their reproductive rates by a factor of 3.
Let's go. Okay, so they're not actually worried about this eel leaving, right? It's just about making the ecosystem in the area healthier when Lord Lobster is victorious.
This can lead to dead zones forming from the overpopulation of certain species of zooplankton. Erosion rates on the islands also increase by a factor of 5.
That is so interesting. So even though, like, Lord Lobster helps, right? Lord Lobster wins, and some things improve, that's not the normal ecosystem. They're still fucking up the ecosystem because ultimately nature needed these two titans to win half the time for the land to be healthy. Because they wanted to manipulate the agriculture, they're fucking up some other shit that they couldn't even guess.
Which has led to the Foundation needing to bring in large amounts of dirt and sand in an attempt to combat it. When SCP-3702 wins and subdues or kills 3701, the weather becomes very dangerous, with powerful hurricanes and rapid temperature changes that can range from below 0 to over 28 degrees Celsius, capable of causing massive damage to buildings and huge losses of life. Travel by sea becomes extremely difficult due to huge waves and storm surges, making it difficult for supplies to reach the island.
All right, so basically, it's worth taking the catastrophic, agricultural damage just to make sure that the lobster wins and this doesn't happen and destroy people's lives.
Ocean food sources are driven from the area, and crop yields are reduced. Following its victory, 3702 does not demanifest, and instead
Okay, I'm starting to see what's happening.
continues to patrol the area and attack vessels, and will even approach the islands themselves.
Oh my god, dude! So you desperately need to keep getting the lobster to win. But dude, the lobster keeps winning, but it'll keep shrinking. Eventually it won't be able to win.
Foundation Naval Task Force Delta 7, nicknamed Northern Storm, is tasked with locating and assisting SCP-3701
They just have to make sure that the freaking lobster keeps winning.
in its struggle against
In an endless battle, an endless cycle between two fucking kaijus. They just have to keep turning the tides of war.
3702.
Really cool concept.
Purchased from the United States military, it consists of 13 destroyers, 5 cruisers, and 15 smaller support craft. When Delta 7 locates SCP-3701, it will often acknowledge their presence by raising two
Lord Lobster, let's go! This is why Ammonite will always be better than Kabuto.
of its claws into the air and clicking them while making a low rumbling noise with its mouth. Delta 7 then accompanies
It's so happy whenever it sees these guys show up and they're like, let's go! Yo, I got my buddies here to help me fight the giant eel.
SCP-3701 as it patrols its 800-kilometer area for 3702. Once the two meet, Delta 7 engages in Protocol Winter Maelstrom, where the destroyers shoot harpoon-based anchors into 3702's head, before moving in a circular pattern while they and battleships fire on it to
Okay, so it's just to subdue it long enough so that the crab can actually fucking win.
ensure it can't orient itself. The cruisers, meanwhile, attempt to draw its attention by firing and moving in a serpentine pattern at a distance of 300 meters. The two creatures will battle, blasting each other with gamma radiation and powerful sound waves. They whip, bite, and club each other.
They will whip, they will nay-nay, and they will stick out their yacht for the Rizzler.
Cracking armor and ripping off tentacles and other appendages,
God damn.
until one finally stops moving and dissolves into the sea. Should SCP-3702 be successful in
So if SCP-3702 actually wins, it's just gonna kill out all of the patrol ships that are there helping. Oh, god damn.
defeating 3701, then Project Tumult is activated, and the following procedures must take place. First, there is an immediate evacuation of
Yeah,
all
'cause they
naval
get
and civilian
chiseled.
craft from the 800-kilometer zone. Next, all trade and ferry routes are stopped or rerouted for at least 6 months, and land-based aquatic defenses are activated. Aerial craft will continue to monitor and engage with 3702.
Dude, that is insane. If 3702 wins, they are royally screwed, and they have to change the entire basic economic system of the world and evacuate countries.
While others can
And they have to deal with this every single year. Every 6 months, they have to deal with this and make sure 3701 wins.
continue to look for a reappearance of SCP-3701. Since it appears that SCP-3701 continues to physically degrade,
Oh god, it's gonna get harder and harder to turn the tides of the battle.
and with the exact opposite being true for 3702, it's been proposed to let 3702 win and subdue 3701 twice every 5 years, despite the terrible effect on locals in the area.
They have no choice. They have to let it lose twice every 5 years, just so... Do you imagine sacrificing all the locals in the area? My god.
Though this plan has yet to be approved, it may be the only chance to stop 3702 from becoming so strong that 3701 is never able to defeat it again.
You're just gonna need to let it win. You're gonna need to sacrifice people to just hope and pray. This was a really good one. I like this. I like that it's not like an unnerving one, and that it's more of yep, the world's kind of fucked up, and we gotta do our best, and ultimately we are going to inevitably fail. Yo, gamers, the rabbit hole deepens. SCP-169 Leviathan. I've been recommended this one a great deal, and don't think that just because I've been on my has-been hotel binge lately, I have forgotten about the SCP lore Nuxploration. I am going to Nuxplore this lore to the very goddamn end. I am going to loregasm all over this series, because the SCP stories have been fascinating me, and I am here. I am so here for it. The reason why I ended up selecting Leviathan instead of some of the other highly requested ones, like SCP-3883, the tentacle dildo, is simply because I've been using the line that the Leviathans are coming for you. I've been using that line a lot lately, so let's do it. SCP Leviathan. I am so ready for it. Let's go.
40 years ago, a U.S. Navy exploratory vessel landed on a chain of islands in the South Atlantic, just 2,000 miles off the coast of Argentina. In other words, the middle of nowhere.
There's no island there. Nani?
Yet on this far-off set of rocks afloat in the middle of the ocean, they discovered a vast array of strange wildlife and plant species that resemble little of what they left behind on the mainland.
Okay.
Could this be a treasure trove of undiscovered species, they wondered,
Oh.
hoping to capitalize on the discovery?
Dude, whenever there's undiscovered species, it doesn't go well for the adventurers. Oh, God.
A reconnaissance team of researchers was sent out to explore some of the islands on foot, and what they found did not disappoint.
Hell yeah. Rich wildlife. I can't see anything wrong happening here. But if it's truly such a major threat, then I feel like the actual people in Argentina would have noticed it, and it's not only affecting this teeny-weeny little island. So I guess that they're gonna make Leviathan, like, just kind of a little thing. There's no way they're gonna actually make Leviathan that dangerous, or else other people would have heard of it, right? Right?
From endangered species of birds to plant life and vegetation that looked like it belonged on Mars, They found a dizzying array of new and exciting examples of evolutionary oddities that would fill a library. But unfortunately, their jubilation was cut short. Attempting to collect soil samples, they dug into the ground and soon discovered that what they were standing on wasn't actually ground at all.
No, they're not standing on the Leviathan, right?
Navy scientists soon discovered the rocky terrain they were exploring was actually made up entirely of organic matter.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Nah, I'd win.
As per the standard protocol, the
standard protocol will just take death row inmates and put them there and see what happens. Oh my god.
SCP Foundation was forced to silence the U.S. Navy research vessel after its discovery.
Wait, the SCP Foundation can silence the U.S. military? How strong are these guys?
With the okay from the U.S. government, the ship was torpedoed.
They legally did this. They got permission from the United States to kill these people. Nah, I'd have sex with an island.
Sunk to the bottom of the ocean with all hands on deck in the name of protecting the greater good of the masses.
The greater good! I, Nux Pentius, believe in the greater good, and I shall use this moment to remind the world that I will become their newest overlord. I believe in ethics, morals, normalcy, and with my minions in chat, we will also do ethical things in the name of America, like murder innocent people.
A tragedy at sea for the sake of preventing worldwide pandemonium. From there, the Foundation took over with the containment procedures of what would eventually come to be known as SCP-169, better known by its nickname, the Leviathan.
Wait, is this the actual biblical Leviathan, or is this just a big sea creature? Because if it's just a big sea creature, then Leviathan is a bit of a misnomer, possibly. I mean, I guess we'll see where it goes, but so far, I am intrigued.
Portions. Said to be able to boil the seas and create earth-ending floods with just a whip of its massive continent-spanning body. It is unclear if SCP-169 has the ability to do these things, though, given its massive size, which Foundation researchers estimate to be somewhere between 2,000 and 8,000 kilometers.
What? 8,000 kilometers long? Bro, oh my god. This could destroy the world. I mean, it's just a big fish. It's just a big fish. It's just a big fish. Let's not worry. It's just a big fish.
It's easy to see how something...
Nah, I'd win. Just big fish. I'd win. Nah, I'd win. It needs water. I don't. I'd win. Nah, I'd Leviathan. Nah, Leviathans are coming for you.
That big, moving at any speed, could be devastating for the coastal regions of the world. Although we use the word contain, it is impossible for SCP staff to ever contain something of such massive size. Surveillance and monitoring are about all...
Wait, so it's just dormant, right? So this entire SCP-169 Leviathan, do you even need to contain it? Like, I guess it could destroy the world if it wanted to, but it's kind of just sleeping.
Can do for now. That and hope it never wakes up and decides that we're on the menu. It was thought to be relatively smooth sailing until one incident changed everything. Dr. Hart turned off the video monitor.
It makes no sense. Hold on. Earth's radius is 6,000 kilometers. How the hell is this longer than the radius of the Earth?
And faced the assembled members of MTF Gamma 6, also known as the Deep Feeders, renowned for their specialization in the tracking of deep sea and oceanic anomalies.
Deep feeders are about to become deep food.
The room was dark, and each team member was sitting in shadow. But still, Dr. Hart...
Okay, if we are going to take this to an incredibly basic biblical proportion, right? The Leviathan is just created by God. It didn't actually have parents. It's some immortal being created by God, and it's just sitting there now, dormant. What, waiting for the end times, I guess? Like, but it's not a threat. I feel like there's nothing you could do about it. Like, you can't kill it. You might wake it.
Hart could see the seriousness on their faces. "I'm sure you're wondering why I called you here at such short notice," he said. On the screen behind him, he put up a NASA satellite picture of a small set of rocky islands. "You see this little island chain here? Well, it wasn't there a week ago." He paused.
Oh, it is moving. Okay, that's the fear. Got it.
Rubbing his forehead from lack of sleep. "At 8:05 a.m. today, we recorded another auditory anomaly emitting from SCP-169. This one was much louder and longer than the one recorded in 1997 by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the one known as the Bloop. Back then,
the Bloop!
To brush off as some ice breaking off of a continental shelf and scraping against the seafloor. It's not so easy to cover up anymore. These auditory emissions
Bro, this is scary as shit, bro. Oh my god.
from SCP-169
So wait, so this whole episode is just kind of world building, but what are they even doing?
are beginning to grow more.
But the bloop is a real thing? Okay, Nux L, I guess. The bloop is just a real thing that they're tying into the lore of this. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just being stupid for a second. I brain farted.
Increased seismic activity around the archipelago on the creature's back indicates that the rate at which the creature is breathing is also up. Typically, the rate at which the creature takes what we are assuming to be a breath is once every 3 months. The rate has increased
This whole thing is just countermeasures in case it wakes. Hopefully it won't. Maybe it never will. But what if it does?
to once.
I get that fear. Like, yes, it might be the end of the world, but you want to at least know if there's something you can do.
For as long as we've been monitoring SCP-169, it's along the southern Atlantic, never moving more than 1 kilometer a week. That behavior is slowly beginning to change. It doesn't sound like much, but something that big even moving just a fraction of...
Wait a second, but what if the fear isn't if it wakes up? What if the fear is that it just slowly moves until it hits a continent? What if it slowly moves until it just wipes South America off the map, just casually destroying it? Yo, what the frick? I didn't consider that!
That faster means 100-foot tidal waves for the entire South American
Oh my
coastline.
god!
We fear the creature showing signs of waking up. If this is true, it could mean a cataclysm for the hundreds of nations around the world. Millions, hell, even billions could be wiped off the face of the earth if this thing just flips its body too fast in the wrong direction.
That's insane. Okay, that is a massive fear. Alright, dude, alright. I'm beginning to see what we're doing here.
To put it to scale, this monster is about the size of the Caribbean.
Oh my
Maybe
lord.
Bigger as far as we know. The doctor then pulled out a decanter of whiskey and poured himself a glass, swallowing the entire pour in one go. In an appalling breach of workplace professionalism. Seriously, an XK class end of the world scenario is still no excuse for drinking on the job. We're talking about an extinction level event. A bona fide XK class end of the world scenario. 1,000-foot tsunami wave stretching as far as the eye can see from either end of the horizon.
Time to move to Mars, ladies and gentlemen. Get the frick out of there. If I saw one of these in real life, dude, I would just, I'd win. I would just do the lobotomy at that point.
The last time SCP-169 stirred, it created the Mediterranean.
Oh my god. Stirred. It didn't even wake up. Nah, I'd surf. Nah, I'd swim. Nah, I'd win.
In fact,
nah, I'd lobotomy. Lobotomy, I'd nah.
Legends of the biblical...
People are gonna watch this YouTube video not knowing the lobotomy Kaisen means, and they're gonna think that I'm just actually brain dead.
Flood, Noah's Ark, the same story can be found in every civilization and culture.
Bro, Noah's Ark is just the Leviathan turning over, rolling over in its sleep.
Well, so maybe they were onto something. It is to this end I call you all here. To save the world from the next great flood. He paused for a moment as the room took in the gravity of the situation.
Yo.
The more we can learn about SCP-169,
Nah, I'd move to Mars.
the better. And right now, we know squat. For one, we've never seen just how deep the body of the creature goes, or what's under it.
Oh my god.
The pressure has been too great for our current models.
The ocean pressure is too strong, so they never even got to the bottom of it. Oh my god.
Submarines, until now. After reinforcing our Nemo 1 deep-sea submersible with thaumaturgical runes, the integrity of its hull has increased exponentially. Your mission will be to travel as far down and as close to the creature as possible. If it breathes, then there must be gills or lungs. There must be...
They're gonna try to kill it. They're gonna see if it needs to breathe, there must be a way to stop it from breathing. No way they're gonna try to suffocate it to death.
Some basic biological facts we need to understand if we're going to survive extinction.
They actually want to kill the Leviathan. That's great. I mean, I guess ultimately you gotta figure that shit out if it's even possible.
Our only recourse is to find a way to sedate the creature. And if that doesn't work, then God help us all. Just 12.
Yeah, if that doesn't work, your hands are in the fates of this creature. And the rest of your life only is just as a mere tiny bloop on his radar that maybe he'll just wake up one day and it's over.
12 hours later, deep in the waters of the southern Atlantic, a massive submersible ship was diving down into the depths of the deep ocean, looking for a way to stop the end of the world. Agent Just 6-1, a member of Deep Feeders, looked out of the massive viewing port as the ship slowly descended alongside the rocky trench that made up the body of SCP-169. Behind him was Dr. Hart, sporting a white 5 o'clock shadow and a red nose from a night of drinking to calm his nerves.
I have always said this. Literally always said this. Guys, don't worry. Yes, the world might end at some point, but what's worrying gonna help, huh? Come on, brother. Take a drink, hang out with some homies, play some Pal World. Come on, homie. Come on, bro. You got this. You got this. What are you gonna do about it, huh? Are you listening, my eggies? Don't worry about something you cannot control.
Our crew were silent in awe as the giant floodlights of the ship brushed over the barnacle-covered surfaces of the undersea mountain. They progressed slowly, reaching each milestone in depth with caution, knowing that one wrong move could destabilize the pressure in their ship.
Oh my
Just
God.
6-1 murmured the word, scales. What? Asked Dr. Hart. I've been watching the patterns of the ridges as we sink down. They look like scales.
Scales? Like scales on like a snake? Scales?
Giant segments. It's hard to see at first because they're so covered in barnacles and sediment, but I'm sure of it. They're giant, armored scales. The way lobsters or crabs have armored exoskeletons. Interesting,
Okay.
the doctor said, scratching his chin. Arthropods have segmented armored bodies. This means we might be looking at some sort of evolutionary hybrid. Some sort of
I don't know how that's gonna help you, but alright.
aquatic mammal, such as a whale or dolphin.
Bro, why don't they get SCP-343 God and be like, yo, dude, speaking of your creations, are you familiar with this guy?
One that has developed armored segmented scales similar to that of a crustacean. The doctor crossed his arms to think. The closest thing we have on the fossil record of this magnitude is an armored fish from the Cretaceous period. But even that's way too small to compare to this. This thing has an entire ecosystem on its back.
Bruh,
How old is it?
actually
Asked the
insane.
agent.
There's no way to know.
Well, now that you mention it, given the impossible age of the creature, odd would make sense. Lobsters and other crustaceans don't age conventionally, you see. They are effectively immortal.
What the frick?
In fact, they actually die because they can
No way, dude. No way they're really shoving this evolutionary theory in here. That is just an arthropod that just keeps growing for eternity.
continue to grow until their bodies can't hold up their humongous size anymore. And yet, SCP-169 just kept growing. The doctor trailed off, thinking to himself. Dr. Hart, still lost in thought, turned to walk to the back of the submersible.
If they could figure out that it's a crustacean, I mean, I don't know exactly how that's gonna help, but like, that's massive info.
A 6-1 followed.
It's just a massive overgrown crab.
He said as much to himself as to the agent. The creature is old. The geological survey conducted when SCP-169 was first discovered carbon dated the specimen to over 541 million years old.
Dude, that's old, bro. That is old.
As you can probably surmise, that's too old for any living being. The results had to
don't
be
say.
incorrect, and yet I checked them myself more than once. And numbers do not lie. The entity predates our civilization. Hell, it predates complex life forms on this planet as we know it. From an evolutionary standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. The agent confused
Brother.
asked, Doctor, how could something
So, I mean, it took 540 million years to get this far, so this isn't exactly a fear in any near future. But is there some sort of looming fear that, you know, give this another couple 100 million years, it'll just outgrow the world? It'll just crab rave all over the place?
so big even come into existence? Planet is actually landmass. It's a wonder we call it Earth. Most of this planet is water.
All right.
We aren't looking at a creature that's on our planet, Agent. We are on its planet.
That's good writing, bro. Literally chills.
Just then a flurry of alarms and sensors began to go off at the bridge of the ship. The team scrambled to their stations, checking off monitors and shouting readings to each other. The ship's thermal sensors are detecting a massive rise in temperature, transmitting power to cooling systems.
What?
We have activity northwest of our location. Sonar has something big headed our way. We need
What is that accent that he just pulled out of nowhere? What was that?
to dive now.
We need to dive now. Bro went from Italian to Russian over a heart. Whoa.
We have activity northwest of our location.
It's an activity northwest. We have to go now.
Sonar has something big headed our way. We need to dive now. The ship lurched
That
forward,
was wild.
nose first, as everyone on board held onto their seats, the restraints keeping them from falling forward. Just outside of the viewing port, Dr. Hart could see an enormous scaled appendage moving fast in their location. We need to steer the ship clear of the Talons. Revert all power to the thrusters. Get
Bro thinks he still has a shot at surviving.
us out of the way, the doctor yelled. Don't you think I'm doing that? The captain shouted back.
Don't you think I'm doing that? We need to get to the chopper! No!
The ship jolted sideways and downwards as an immense wave of pressure came over the submersible, putting 6 Gs of force on its occupants. Just 6-1 yelped out of fear as the ship came close to crashing into what appeared to be the edge of a titanic talon, the size of the Empire State Building. Following the encounter, the part of the ship bordering the reinforced glass of the viewing port began to glow bright red.
It's boiling the water around us!
One of the crew members cried out. It's not boiling anything. It's just cavitation due to the pressure reduction in the water. The updated runes on the ship's...
Yeah, this thing has no power. Everyone sees something so massive, right? So huge. It must have other earthly powers, otherworldly abilities that we don't understand or can comprehend. Meanwhile, it's just fucking big. It moving is like a natural disaster. It moving is an act of God. His power is just being a big, thick fucking boy. So thick that the clap of his ass scales keep alerting the guards.
Stay focused on the mission, bottom feeders. After several moments of holding their breaths, the crew of Nemo 1 began to relax as their pace returned to a slow descent along the side of the underwater behemoth. Before long, the vessel was no longer traveling straight down, but starting to curve under the creature, traveling north towards the theoretical head of SCP-16. After several hours, the ship came upon giant fissures in the rocky exterior of the creature. These massive vent-like structures appeared stiff, but slowly they opened and closed over the span of weeks. These were the respiratory organs of the organism.
That's crazy. You can't even see it breathing because it's so slow.
Clocking it at over 2 miles underneath the surface of the ocean, the crew carefully began entering the smaller pod-like submersibles that detached from their main ship. Just 6-1 entered his pod and strapped on the haptic gloves that would give him
the haptic gloves.
Control of the pod's robotic arms.
That's pretty awesome.
He and a team of 3 other volunteers.
Dude, what are you supposed to even do at this point? Like, I guess gathering information is good, but like, at some point, does information even matter? It's like, okay, yeah, you killed the Titans by slashing the nape of their necks, but like, you're not gonna kill the Colossal Titan. Like, it's useless.
Had agreed to undergo the dangerous mission of attaching artificial chemical emission machines that could be programmed to...
Can you poison it somehow? Is that what like they're trying to do here?
Release anesthetic gas into SCP-169's respiratory system.
Oh, they're just gonna keep it sleeping. That's their plan here.
On command only. The emission machines could be refueled manually whenever the contents ran out. It was an ingenious solution Dr. Hart came up with when thinking of his time studying sharks as a marine biologist. They would tag the fins of
Dude, marine biologists have never been this useful in history.
Sharks by capturing them and
Dude, Jotaro out there punching the air right now. Let's go.
The specimens on the deck of their boat. From there, the scientists would drill a radio frequency emitter onto the fin of the shark. When he had first seen this practice as a young college student, Dr. Hart was afraid the process was harming the shark, but later he learned it was designed in a way to not be harmful to the specimen.
He is literally history's worst marine biologist.
And eventually the tag would fall off after enough data on the shark's movement was collected. Except these tags would not be falling off, he thought. They could not. For the sake of all mankind, this had to work. The doctor pressed a button on the receiver of the radio and spoke. Just 6-1, what's your status? Pressure's holding, all signs look good. Just 6-2, pressure's holding, all good. Just 6-3, all clear, Captain. Just 6-4.
He changes their accents every time, Captain.
4, there was silence. Just 6-4, do you copy? All clear, Doc, sorry, my mic was muted. En route and ready.
Oh my god, it's just this. They got in. My mic was muted. What is he, a streamer?
To do this thing. Dr. Hart sighed in relief and slowly reclined in his chair, watching the pods move closer to the large openings on SCP-169's side. One by one, the robotic arms used underwater torches to drill into the thick, rock-like exoskeleton of the creature, screwing in complex million-dollar equipment that was both waterproof and could withstand the immense pressure at such a depth under the ocean.
Dude, they're so rich, the American government just lets them murder their civilians to keep secrets. That's the dream, guys. That's the dream. Next time you're selling out and you're making YouTube videos, you're clickbaiting shit, you're out there, you're doing crypto scams, and people ask you, when is it enough? When is it enough? Dude, you have all these guys out there, Logan Paul keeps scamming people. Bro's making millions, probably almost $1 billion at this point on his Prime and all that shit. And he's still out there scamming, grinding, doing whatever he can. Probably evading taxes too. And everyone asks, when is it enough? When is it enough? This is now the baseline. When you're so fucking rich, all right, that you could devote billions of dollars to freaking goddamn injecting nails and all this shit into giant behemoths, and also legally being allowed, according to the American government, because of how rich you are, to just murder people to keep secrets and get free use of death row inmates to just use for your random tests and bullshit, just for your random garbage and experiments and all that. You have legal right to death row prisoners. That is how rich the dream is. That's the dream. When is it enough? That is just about when it's enough.
Anxiety for the safety of his crew and the success of the mission. But before long, the pods began to return one by one to the mothercraft, each completing the segment of work with which they were tasked.
Let's go.
The last pod still working was just 6-1, whose robotic arm was in the process of rotating a large industrial-sized screw. Just 6-1 had all but finished when suddenly a low rumble could be felt shaking the larger submersible. Dr. Hart's voice came crackling over the radio. "Get back to the ship now!" Just 6-1, wrapped in deep focus
Oh God, don't.
on his task, replied, "I'm just about finished, just packing up."
No, don't say I'm just about finished. Just 2 minutes, Mom. I'm coming in 2 minutes, Mom.
At my tool belt. Leave it. Return to the ship now. That's an order. Jesus, what's wrong? It's not like this is the end of the world.
That's bad foreshadowing. Oh no, oh God, oh
Said the
Lord.
agent, chuckling over his radio. An ear-piercing echo sent shockwaves through the depths of the ocean around the submersible. The waves rumbled with the sound of SCP-169's voice, similar to the sound
Wait,
of a
what?
whale,
No
but
shot.
amplified by a million. The sound sent all the crew members falling to the floor as the ship experienced severe damage from the burst of pressure, slightly cracking the glass viewport and sending smoke flooding into the small bridge.
Dude, it just casually just breathes and this happens?
Gas masks! Shouted Dr. Hart as they all donned breathing apparatus. SCP-169 is
He's the only one that doesn't wear gas masks! Everyone puts on gas masks, he just stands there.
waking up. Begin activation of the chemical emission machines.
Oh my God, if this is what keeps it asleep, that is the most coincidentally fantastic thing in the history of time. Bro, it was just gonna wake up.
We need to sedate it now. The Leviathan is waking up. We need to stop it, shouted Dr. Hart. Just then, he looked back and noticed Just 6-1's pod was gone. Just 6-1, what's your position? Just 6-1, where are you? Sir, sonar has him drifting off deeper into the ocean behind us. He must have gotten knocked off SCP-169 by the shockwave.
Oh,
But Dr.
Lord.
Hart wouldn't have it. He didn't want any more blood on his hands. Reverse thrust!
Oh my God, dude. Man has the fate of the world on his hands. Literally, if this thing wakes up, it's Jover. It's go Jover.
Just turn us around and get to him. We're not losing
Nah, he'd win.
anyone. But the breach in the hull! It'll hold. That's what the runes are for. The outside of the submersible began to glow a slight blue
What?
as the ship's system started to come back online to full capacity.
All right.
And alarm systems started to turn off and report normal pressure readings. Before long, the Nemo 1 had caught up to Just 6-1's pod and retrieved the agent, who had been knocked unconscious by the shockwave.
All right, this is pretty peaceful all in all. This is okay.
Once the agent was back on the main ship, the doctor turned his attention back to the monitors, making sure the installations they drilled into the creature were functional. Slowly, the machines came online to full power.
Bro, you're telling me they actually fucking roofie the Leviathan, right? Dude, you have the Leviathan here. It just breathes. It just hums, and it can destroy anything around it just because of its sheer size. Bro says, nah, I'd win, and there's no survivors. And the solution is chloroform. Yes, Dr. Hart, what's his name? Dr. Hartman? Dr. somebody, whatever, he's just sitting there. They said I couldn't put all those years of college parties and date rapes in the 60s to good work.
And the speed at which SCP-169 had been moving began to slow ever so slightly. The team all watched the viewport in silence.
Dude, I'm just saying, if it breathes that slowly, it should take much longer for it to actually get in his body, let alone affect him.
As a steady stream of anesthetic gas was pumped into the respiratory system of the gigantic living myth in front of them. After a few moments of waiting, the doctor spoke. I think it worked.
Oh my God. That is crazy. This dude's literally the nicest guy in the whole SCP Foundation. Bro, everyone in the SCP Foundation is actual psychopath. And then you have this guy, this absolute Giga Chad, drunkard, pot-bellied old man, kicking butt. Let's go, dude.
He said with a smile. crew erupted in cheers as they radioed control back up on land that
Yo.
the mission had been a success. The message quickly reached the O5 Council, where a red alert status was de-escalated, and the O5 members withdrew from their plan of leaving the current Earth for that of an alternate universe.
Wait, what? The O5 Council was just gonna pussy it out? They saw it waking up and they were like, all right, Leviathan is waking up. All right, we ditch Earth. We go to another Earth. It's all good. Crisis avoided, sort of. Except for literally from everybody else.
The whole crew began to sing and celebrate the prevention of the end of the world as Dr. Hart simply stood in front of the massive viewport, watching the mountainous specimen slowly grow smaller in the distance as the submersible began ascending back to the world above.
Bro, O5 Council really watched it waking up and they were just gonna be like, nah, I'd live.
Just 6-1 came
Nah.
to congratulate him, patting him on the back.
I'd
We
survive.
did it, he said. Loosen up. The doctor managed to laugh along in acknowledgement. That we did, he said in relief. That we did. The
Brother.
two watched the deep blue ocean in silence, taking in the vastness of the sea. Perhaps this would not be the end of it, but that day, they had done what the SCP Foundation did best. Kick that apocalyptic can a few miles down the road. And sometimes, in the face of the terrifying and the infinite, that's really the best you can do. Now go check out
Yeah, that's crazy. That was honestly a really, really good one. A really, really good one. I am very impressed. Like, they know that there's nothing they could do, right? They know that there's, that it's all ultimately pointless. The only thing you can hope for is keeping it asleep, and they found a solution to keep it kind of at bay for as much as you can. And honestly, that's dope. This was a good one. I like that it wasn't actually causing tons of deaths and stuff. I feel like it was just a more, I guess, casual SCP operation, and I like those a lot. It's just like, it adds so much flavor to the world. If you made it to the end, click one of these two videos, which also will definitely get me canceled. See you live on King. Stay weird, fam.